Je Niran Chatan Nidon Tanyon Ne Wai Jo Je Sa Je Je Ja Me Do Da Re Ra Le Je Nye De Jen Ba De San Ye Jin Do Me De Po Wa Yi Rogon Yedang Guru Rana Mendala Yame. On page number 11, I take refuge in the Guru. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. Refuge in the Sangha. Now, Dharma and the Sangha. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and health. May all sentient beings free from suffering. May all sentient beings never suffering from joyful bliss. May all sentient beings provide their community free of bias and judgment. Strewn with flowers, encircled by the four continents, surmounted by the sun and moon, I visualize this Buddha field longer. May all the beings enjoy their life. Namendala Game Yadaya Me. Tashidelek and good morning, everyone.
당가랑도 이마 같이 쓸라 따뜻한 줄치목 개도 좀 줄다 선인 뭐지 참 좋네 주성들 듣지는 않지만 아무도 뭐 지금 들어 좀 송은 그래서 대자 안에 당가랑도 니랑다 안에 지금 같이 랑 송한테 야 초니 지 고들지야 고들지야 된거 가르치 그 고들지나 공주님이 그 조비 파인 티코 시야지 공주님이 그 고트 다가정하고서 까마이 바네 존지체모 야치체모 쇼라 그런 거니 냠슬용네 들라 용어 토종 뜻파 똑비연도 뜻파 롱고 체득 이 돌아 파브진의 야갈깔라 송 야갈깔라 송주되니 법이깔라 예르진의 뒤질도 돈도 등하고다 신나마신의 딘데신도 잡지니 아니 아주 티와지레스 TV 돈데 다 티와지 돈등 안 하고 썸당고 있을 때 야치심 시와라 벌써 정말 인지강을 제조 때 잠깐 생도 같아 간저지스 다다래 말이지 썸노당 티와지 삼바지 수지는 삼비 셔럽 기는 거 따따땅 원이 지금 된다 지금 렌드고 조바고나 파인 친구도 공부는 예무 친구도 공부는 센들라양 소소 기보면 맞지 보고양 기보면 남이 콜도 틀어 가지지 때라더니 남비존에서는 때라더니 공부 예무 비드바 친구 친구나 드바 선나 때라더니 마오나 등을 되고 종거리 단단한 마오나 등을 종거리 된데 공부 세트 자연 반응이 있지 아니 조파세야 때 조금지 타나미도 시디요 어떻게나 이런 소소랑이 기부 요마서 이런 거 미쳐마야 기부 요 된지 용거로 친들라 요마서 조파도 같으면서 근데 까왔지 나 소소 때라더니 기윈도 조소파 좀 그래 여완도 대화 좀 그랬어 진짜네 소소가 사마 대화도 받 등문도 바로 대장하고 사마 대화도 받다 등문도 받다 대화 용도 조파때 티 삼치다 곰고 곰디하고 소발 곰 조금진이 뜻이 조바 곰세 조바 곰지도 공부 방수 때 그니까 네가 꺼내 오서 네가 뭐일 등을라 좀 해버지 등을라 때네 조바 곰에 등을라 좀 세당치야 등을라 좀 말이지 뜻이 챙고 그러지
So the past few in the morning Sunday class,
we discuss about the chapter 6, the practice of patience. And so tomorrow, Venerable Minyaram Buche, he will conclude his retreat, and after fire puja and everything will be done, and then next Sunday he will lead the class, and you can discuss and learn more about the such a great practice. And but anyway, so we have discussed past few weeks about this chapter 6, and which mostly and mainly talk about the faults of anger, as well as the great fruitions of the having a great practice of tolerance. And the this chapter 6 and the whole chapter being taught by the great Indian master, the master Shantideva, who not just he just kind of just express those the idea or the knowledge, but rather he had that kind of realizations or experience through the great intense study about those mental afflictions, as well as the how to apply all the necessary antidotes, and that also practice he expressed or he shared verbally, and which he gained such immense realizations. So this is through the realizations he able to share this such knowledge, and and of course he used the ancient Indian language when he shared this knowledge, and luckily it was translated into Tibetan as exactly what is from the origins text. And now luckily now we all of us we can able to study, which is translated into English or other many languages. And so I want you to study as well, read and over and over and think and contemplate. So this is also known as the practice of the knowledge of listening, contemplations, and meditation itself. And um, so here again, it talk about the shortcoming of the anger, as well as the benefits of the having patience and the tolerance, and and also the previous the classes we talk about the more about the detail of the faults of the anger. For example, the anger having anger is not only just destroy our the life, but also it will destroy the others, and we create the more problems and enemy, and in Buddhist, it's also talk about this is the one of the severe kind of defects or defaults of the having anger. It's not only just destroying this life, but it also destroy our next life as well. So there's no opportunity in next life as well. So therefore, we have to take a great attention toward those two things. One is the seeing or recognizing the great shortcomings of the anger, as well as the understand the fruitions of the having a tolerance, the practice of tolerance. And again, the every day to day life we can understand through our experience. It will kind of disturb having angry mind. It will not only just disturb our peace of mind, but also it will create such distractions surrounding. And also earlier the stanza it mentions there's no great benefits or the fruition like a patience. So patience is it's a key, the main topic here, and and also it's talk about the realization as well as the meditations. So basically the very cause is the either meditating on the fruition, meditating on the patience, or meditating on the falls of the anger. Is basically it we are meditating, the mainly the point is the anger. Sorry, not anger, it is suffering. Yeah.
아무튼 된자다 다 넘버 닉 사치 파틴 가정 추진도 되나 양 등의 연든 기회 쪽바 세월신 코르윈 코로알라 양지지 반드시 gelaka 어떤 리도노 셰나 등을 세야 돼 기타 가랑서 랑시 경화랑 펌보드 접에다 아무도 펌보드 렌서도 펌보드 라테네 펌보드 종왕하가 당이 기트바 지랬대 근데 끝까지는 여러분 요차 안에 또 맞닥배랑스 근데 지탐좀 맞닥봐 그래서 소치든 리용 강용화 때는 빈지빙 걸로 판로 됐다 등이랑 진짜 컴포트 렌스 등이랑 진짜 레다 버지 등이랑 진짜 레다 버지 있는 등한테 배쳤던 거 라버 당에나 등한테라 조마도 같이 셔동티나 안에 신델라데 김에 세시만데 김에 용거래 등한테라 당는 진에 조바곰 진에 배쳤던 거이나 신델라 텔라니 연든 지용 거래 가르지나니 등을 기위 연든 가르여즈나니 교육 답반데 벌써 네 소소 셈나가 지금 알지 침보 마용하지 셈나 교능 당전이 고니 텔라텔니 텐데 탈도 등을 텔리 탈도 내종 길라기와 카프리 용거지 제시는 때마서 안데 소소라 등을 텔니 냠스 용니 등이 용용 근지나 배낭가 로징이 고망부 나고나 뭐 나뇽아나 미잠바스 고 나가드스나 쿨랑서 트로트릭스 아까 고나 트로팅 요르스 고자스테 델리트나서 현지키알라 카브리 요르스 고티 소소 냠뇽 텔라테 파쇼라 네 삼시시 카브리 요르스 딜란데선 길라 가세 데산 디팔란 zem박치게레스 경 벤나 등을 거니 셰드나 등을 텔라 제니 마주바 셰당나나 등을 용고 저 디밤 사걸 디파스나 딘저 등을 용고 쓰는 때 하고나 어수가 등을 만도 봐인자 대원도 봐인자 이 등을 용사 비게텔라 조금 제가 전에 겨와서가 잡히는 거지 아니 겨와서는 텔라테니 뒤도서 셰등도서 조바로 조바곰 전에니 겨와서가 맞추지 그래서 겨와라 가와키 용 그래서 어떻게 뜻인 거지 그때
So we the last class we stop on the page number 21. Sorry, the number page number 2 and number 21. And let's review again on number 21. Suffering has another quality, since arrogance diminishes because of despair, and one feels a compassion for beings in the circle of existence, fear of seeing, and the yearning for the jhana. And so the again it talk about the falls and the fruitions of the tolerance, as well as the suffering. And the suffering, we no matter what, we always experience, and we bound to face this all kinds of suffering because of the five aggregates, that we have this five aggregates. And yeah, because of the five aggregate, and five aggregate being accumulate or being construct by the caused by the five elements. And and when we look at the five elements as well as the five aggregate itself, it is the kind of like the nature or the object of suffering, because they are impermanence, and every minute and every second it change, and it age and it change. And but important is that once we recognize this very the innate or the nature of suffering, we shouldn't discourage ourselves, but rather we see that we have to find or to see the opportunity that is there is a great benefits of having this body or this five aggregates and for example uh, there's a great benefits of reducing the negative pride and also increasing the renunciations. So without this, the very innate suffering of five aggregate or the five elements, we do not have any opportunity to reducing the negative pride as well as the generating the renunciations. So this all be done and or increase or arise because of this very the innate suffering of the changing of the five elements as well as the five aggregate and for example and when we had any kinds of experience about any kinds of suffering, and then whenever we see that kind of suffering from other, we kind of eventually we understand and we recognize, and there is a great kind of opportunity or capacity where we can able to generate the compassions and loving kindness. For example, I had a great experience of the severe kind of headache, and whenever I see someone's going through that same problems, headache, and then I have a kind of like, how the bad it is, and then we kind of naturally we generate the compassions and being kind and be kind of gentle toward that individuals. So this is the one of the example of the benefits of the having the suffering as well as the all the experience.
아니 왔 좋아라서 능력이 인연을 전부 못하고 세연은 짓대도 대답은 결립을 너디 가서 거잖아 당 알아서 리드 용수 때라때는 종화 특별권이다 제와도 나가 바뀐 사람만 나서는 나만 나기 요로 나 나서나야 돼 까마르 인터넷 배터리 등 인처벌 많지 나기 요르지 나기 요르다 등지 종화 전부 때라니 그런 공부를 하는 거 왔어 딱 공부를 하는 거 그 나서는 종화 때라 공부를 하는 주면서 근데 센당도 미 잠바지기 줄 뜻이 시간이 지금 보나 사람 총총 당하이나 그 남성 초고도 가지 세면 세미당도 맞들 그 초고도 대답은 게 결례 버스 대 정말네 지금 결례더니 종화는 누가 돼 아니 때나 지금 결례더니 나차대 지금 종화네 당도 결례 종화를 하셨고네 나바셔가 때 지금 결례된 종화 때나 뒤나니 그 세메텔라 마토지 센당도 맞들 간지 토이
So next, number 22, I'm not angry at bile and alike, even though they cause great suffering. Why be angry at sentient beings who are also provoked to anger by conditions? um, so here, the master Shantideva, he asking or raising questions, and for example, whenever we have a great the pain or disease, pain or suffering caused by the sickness or disease, and whenever we have that kind of suffering and problem, we do not have any kind of anger toward that sickness, nor we have such kind of hatred toward those our own disease. So why we should have anger toward the individual who caused the great suffering in our life? Because when we compare these two, it's the same thing that causing a suffering and the problem in our life, and the you have a kind of anger toward the human being, but you do not have anger toward the non-human beings.
그때 렌 저동도 렌드 가르쳐 사고는데 뭔가 종화 특히 경기 나자 종화데 답시오 말고 용어 특히 견디라고 하면 우리 용어 때가 공도랑사 지요 말이지 나 파쇼 강서 센터 담바디고 걸롱동 차싱원 땅 주는 알라베 나차도 조고선 걸롱원 땅에 보는 거 리카 차시르 된장 콜라 가면 되지 라디가 버지
Shimbanira.
또 그런 좋았던 집으로 될 판단 잡고라 어떻지 난 노아르지
So when they ask the questions, there's a reply like this: the very cause of the suffering by the great sickness, it doesn't have any the power, or nor it does has any control. I don't have any control and power, but the others beings who cause great suffering and the problem, so they have. Being prepared, and they have a great motivations, and not only they eventually they apply all the evil actions in order to cause suffering in my life.
다 때라 파고를 겨 왜나 문도진데 난 종을 겨왔다 대신 문도진데 난기 묘모 종을 겨지 어때 텐데레도 와서 텐데나 저 선동다 맞지 토고나다 데 안통 그라 가요 말은 종아 특히 영나 짜티고 나랑 도바도 요 말도 문도나 종대 때라가 다들 요 말때 공도나 요아 김치 문득세네 드시기 요나 대비전 문도진데 대진데 파쇼 라우딩 코랑 문도진데 저랑라 네데 그저지가 그롱도 강리 종아서 코랑 나랑 요말 코랑 묘모고 장한테 저런 묘모고한테 저 말이 비온 거 코랑 적당 대화 놓기 요르다 대화 그런 게 대화 같은 좀 소소 대화 장네 다서나 텔레 노바캬티 용거지 진짜 묘모 기계인 게 저는 방송 때문에 좋아요 뭐 묘모라 토고래지 어떻게 송하지
Then Shantideva replied that person or individual, number 23, just as sharp pain arises, although one does not desire it. So anger forcibly arises, although one does not desire it. And so Shantideva replied that persons, okay, so yeah, it makes sense that you do not have anger toward the sickness, because it doesn't have any motivation, nor it doesn't have any control. But the individual who caused us the problem and suffering, he done this out of great intentions and motivations. Okay, so let me reply this question. So he said, in that case, and then let me use the same logic, and that the person who causing a great pain and suffering into your life, that person is also causing this problem out of with no control, because that person is also they being controlled and dominated by destructive emotions such as anger and ignorance and so forth. And that person also have a same desire and same wish to want to be happy and to not want suffering. But even though they have a great desire and wish to achieve the happiness, they constantly experiencing the suffering like you do. So instead of now, we all make sense that now, instead of you giving an excuse because the sickness doesn't have a control, you do not have any control, right? And then similarly, that person doesn't have any control, and he's being dominated by the negative emotions. So instead of you having a great the hatred and anger toward that person, why not you should have a kind of anger, or you should kind of defeat the cause of the anger, which is the negative emotions.
다 이거 잡주들 톨샤스 말씀도 그거는 날기 토 기울샤시 말씀 좀 토화되는 대비진 기지네요. 뒤도 더 나가시겠네. 적당 가는 좀 미참아 대화 도 봤던 되게 문도 봐인자. 아주 대화 영상은 종콘트 소소라니 지금 대화 동 섬기봐. 대용고 대용하라 조망하던 텐진 좀부터 참고고요. 대 정말 고고요자. 아주 미참에 스치게 된 하나 이 자상고 katina dasana dati katina danen nang no pa kagro no pa chana te tozun chi kati sema kyongor tende chi go samne samno chi la yo mar tangbo ne mi tangbo ni ni kin dasa go mi sama daso go samno yo mar tela tene control ki go samlo yo mar ane yena yang kyo nam nar ki to jo kyo nam te control ki ad karzna koran la kang chi chede koran mandopi dopi tonchi mandra bandro 아니 tel라 mandopi 능치 콜라테로 텐데지 종용소 그런 랑진가니 zoma토나 tel라 텐데 콘도시 용거지 콘도 대형 그런 당보능이 콘도 기기인지 그런 요마르지 기고 삼고 요마르티나 교는 날치 남치 초즈고 zoma토 tel라 나사 나즈 지바르 나사 나즈 나사 나오서 나 당보 나고 삼고 요마르티 나용소 zoma토 so non tenanzi kono tambo konto kiego sangu yo mar konto kiego kiego so ten zo ma to chen en ti dingel ro de gang ro de pe chlo lo tong so konto ko nam jit de cha ten kan chen ba she jong de cha ne de yong go re de cha ne chi pa chi jang re de song da.
And number 24, number 24, as person does not intentionally become angry, thinking I shall get angry, nor does anger originate, thinking I shall arise. so it so here keep discussioning between the two the individuals, master and the other individuals, and here again here it's talk about the uncontrolled the suffering and uncontrolled, undesirable suffering that none of us we wanted, but when we look at the cause and also the none of us we want suffering. We all want the happiness, and the happiness that the very cause of the in general very cause of the happiness. Of course, there's the by having a name and fame and the appropriate and fortunate, as well as the friends and the loved one and so forth. These are the all the great conditions of the cause of the happiness, and 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 all the individuals at the beginning doesn't have any kind of intentions, that kind of intentions, like they all have a kind of at the beginning have a great desire and intentions to want to have a happiness, nor they don't have any intention like, oh, today I will make enemy, I shall make enemy, or I do something bad, or they don't have a kind of innate kind of that kind of motivations, nor they have a innate or the origins of the anger. But we all experience whenever we face any kinds of challenge and difficulties and suffering in our life, and even though we do not want, but it constantly kind of arise in our life and giving us a lot of problems in our life, and so this the again it doesn't have any motivation, but because of the lack of patience and lack of tolerance, and then whenever we encounter such challenge, then we lose the patience, and then we have a lot of the all kinds of motivations where it causes the suffering in our life as well as the others. The So same thing when we compare the sickness and the sickness and the anger and the wishing to making more enemy are very similar. The sickness doesn't have a innate kind of motivation that, oh, I will create such problem, but it comes, and when it comes, then we have a same like anger and hatred out of without any control. We verbally and physically do such actions.
진짜도 성기 갈송을나 알아서 능을 지니 파쇼 컨트롤 능력 컨트롤 그 뒤 데벨롭 되는 거라서 특차지요나 저런 아니 초사 때 기후 때 말다 공부들했어. 때 임비 점승가 기후 때 공부니 지금 말했어. 기후 때랑 진 그런 거 시대 당다 봐. 내 뜻이 있는다고. 그래도 이나 공부 견지용으로서 아니 공부 뒤랑도 원도 그 디용으로서 그런 공부 뒤장도 이제 샤워칸도 그런 거 말을 거 찾아요 그러지. 그래서 기후 때 양지 예르다. 이나 그런 거 아니 갑자기 자사대 되게 공부로 들었다. 진짜 아니 겨울 좋아요 말다 되게 명물한 좀 라다고 그러지. 겨울에 라다요. 명물에 라다고 그러지. 그래서 그때 삼루통나 고집에 처먹어요. 선다 이미만 선좀 되송한 사이. 아주 공부던 강선이 되지그래 왜는 그 말로 대통나마 지금 공부되고 내거랑 열서 공부만 나올 말고 내도 내도 강선때 공부 시요 말. 그래서 공부 많은 그때 강선때 시대 때 가는 시 정하지요. 공부 너무 되나 거기까지 시선 누구 말을 뺏가는 완전 지속. 그래서 뒤 같은 때라다 고코랑 나산로 전부 정도 때라 강선때 영화지 세드. 공부 장한테 있는 거랑 요 말이 양지 공부를. 공부 때 딱 공부 nhiệm 때문에 공부 때 랑진 공라한테 매용을 받수지는 조금 제가 지고래서 파수 공부를 하다는 결혼형 공부를 하는 니차로베 다 매는 거 처음에 듣지 봤어. 파수 때 공부를 하는데 결혼 때나 파 조금도 지냈을 때에는 파수 때 공부 때 그렇게 총을 송 조금 그 니와라더니 같이 하는 때자 아니 남긴 내가 저 공부던 방송이 캡을 치고 그랬을 뜻이고.
So here, the Buddha mentioned that whenever we encounter such challenge and giving a lot of problems and suffering because of that individuals or that person, and it is important to to kind of examine and make distinguish those this individual or that persons, distinguishing the or separating the individuals and the individuals negative emotions. We shouldn't kind of like combine thinking that uh, the anger is the individual or the individual is the anger, and we shouldn't think like that. Rather, we should kind of distinguish or separate those two entity, and the person and the anger. And if we do that, then we have a great opportunity to forgive that persons or whoever persons like it will become a great object of the compassions. And uh, and the again we can ask the questions: is the anger, negative emotions, and that persons are the same, or same or not? Of course it's not same. The individual or persons is always naturally is good, but due to the temporarily outcomes or outer force, he or she become angry persons. And when they become angry person, and then they do all kinds of things in order to kind of like hurt themselves and other as well. So therefore we shouldn't think like that, but rather distinguish a person and and his or her negative emotions. And so this is, I think, one of the good example by the it does like make sense. Of course, it's because it's taught by Buddha, and otherwise, if we don't have that kind of capacity and by able to examine that kind of situation, then the myself and you yourself become angry, and that other individual also become angry person, and then both of like become a angry person. It's like a jumping in a fire. If you jump in a fire, then all of them they burn. So therefore, whenever this happen, it is important to distinguish between the person and the person's negative emotions.
아니 장어한테 니와 저트 탐 니와 진이 탐칠등 누바나바 나줘봐 되게 깽기 돌리중 랑 요바 마이노스 어떤 알아도 논적 니와 된데 싹어요 니와 진이 싹바 때 탐칠등 근데 될라 때네 그나 셔당지 말이 병원 근담을 지니 때 두바삭요 바나바 나줘봐 싹어요 그만나바 나줘봐 대떡 끈기 대떡 근 대근 깬기 돌리중 대 탐지형 그런 거 삼진 때문에 지에 때문에 말고 깬라 이게 당 깬라 때문에 중화래 깬라 짠라 때문에 중화다 거다 랑아 요바 많이 놓지 대 코때도 보면 니위 돕기 때문에 그 정도 때 코롱라 대 천진 지역 니와로 만당하지 때문에 대 정도 요래지 대사 안에 따뜻 강서 때니 대이 코롱라 양지 있더래서 배나 미주 노트지니 다 벤촌지나 꾸마겨야죠 꾸마경근데 꼬마 잡지니 인교 그런 샘 땅에 딱고 대기 땅 담바지 동나 그런 소위 강은 매와도 근데 등을 세나선 그런 거 끝내랑네 다 말이 그 끝내랑데 그런 꼬마 잡고 꼬마 잡는 거 알았지 오톱 손은 거 알았대 대기 용선 또 꼬마 잡고 다 꼬마 영어서 꼬마 잡는 파쇼고 노르트 마신을 렘버 레옹서 코티 디파사도 될때니 고 등을 나줘 봐 등을 디파사옹서 디파티 니와사요 니와사옹서 파쇼티 서치니 하고서는 고 니와들렸다 남인 정도라 남나 조전에 정강도 알아서 지다 질문도 정도 대 탐지 영 그런 담보니 고마 잡는 아티 니와서 지는가 정강로고 삼노도 고 키워 말다 니 동국마 잡는 게 뭐 배추 땅는 거 기본 지고 삼노데 얘나 기본 맞죠 때네 대근 지동 젤리 종한테 그런 거 삼노당 당시다 때 맛이 온거 좋아한다 랑아 요바 많이 코로나 랑아 요마 스탠드 그냥 지로 와서 대화도 좀 때문에 그런 게 대화 같은 좀 세트다 거는 뜻뜻 가리다 그랬어.
Number 25, all offense and vices of various kinds arise under the influence of conditions, and they do not arise independently. So here is keep telling that distinguish that persons and the person negative emotions, and the often making or accumulating the all kinds of all kinds of the faults and all kinds of non-virtues in our life, and those all of the non-virtues and unwholesome actions and the deeds we accumulate not like intentionally but out of conditions, out of the great conditions and cause and conditions. So therefore, it is the object of the compassion, object of compassion. For example, a burglar and who steal the object, and of course, he or she, whenever they steal the object from others, their intention is very simple. They want happiness. All they want happiness, whatever they able to take from the others, the money or object. So they're all seeking for, once I get this, and then I'll have a happiness and joy in my life. So they put into actions, and they try to steal object or the money which is not given by other, so it's considered as a non-virtuous action, and of course he or she accumulate the misdeed or bad karma in their life, and then the worldly is considered as a bad action, and then he or she will in great trouble, and eventually they end up in a prisons, and again, when we look at that, those individual, at the beginning they just simply want happiness, but due to the ignorance, due to the lack of wisdom and the intellectual mind and the lack of being wise and so forth, they took such actions, and they end up in such trouble kind of situations, and create ruining their life. But again, those individual do not have that such kind of intention at the beginning, They at the very beginning they didn't come like, oh, I want to become a burglar, I want to become that kind of persons and steal and kill and then I will have a happy life. No, but they do this because of the uh, cause and conditions. So this is the when we look at this, it is kind of object of compassions.
근데 짠는 초파 때 독점 겨울서시 말씀 좀 대기 대응 닥기시 선배요 많이 놓지 그러니까 된디가니 기땅 전 빅차트 소용과 소바데도 니 된지 땡알라 된지 종나 섬이 빙을 종나 섬이 삼로티 요 말. 지금 메시지 그 지금 요 말다 근데 삼로 지금 코르니 지금 요 말도 있나 대기 때당 닥기처스 때 때인서 코랑메 버전 청용수 때라 때네 라진 때 접용 거요 그렇지 그 접용도 선배요 보면 때비가 삼로 땅 오요 말. 그 초용수 된종원서 견리 초용을 쓰고는 진짜 종용을 요래 때 하고나 그런 거네 어쨌든 잘라 때니 종화인 바 하고는 렌드이 남자들 선망 이완이 토에나 직당하네 근데 지기 치 탐질 맞닥 바인 바때 하고 다가 지가치는 직비 치전이 바때 인서 소소 리나 교환의 정도 같이 연결이 타만 저와도 로 타만 매와 찬도 같대 지지 삼로이나다 대랑 삼로 당주때 딱딱딱딱 맞도 이마 삼로 여러 탕로고 요한테지 아니 지금 종화 치 능게 삼로 때 치직 등가 노지직 등 종화 때 양배 에르게도 시킨 저와 테고 요 봤도 때 내가 가자마다 약간 더 근데 용요 또 참좀 오인일은 좀 하고 더해나 때라 동는지에 잡으려고 랑진이 임바리 있는데 랑진이 임바 때 때리잖아 때라 때 남성 묵스 기가 가르니 코드 제송 되는 적스 그렇고 말하나 때라 때는 거 공부 뭐 소금 절라 진짜 잡으려고 그러지
Number 26 an assemblage of condition does not have the intention I shall produce, nor does that which is produced have the intentions I shall be produced. So here keep giving others kind of necessary the examples of the distinguishing between individual and the individuals, their actions or the negative emotions, and so this all happened because when the when it came to like fit all the requirements of the cause and effect, and then without any control we experience all kinds of the problems and sufferings in our life. And because this is also the one of the essence the knowledge or teachings, which is the interdependence. When it's all come together, then anything could happen. So this is talk about the nature of the cause and effect, or the knowledge of the karma, the cause and effect. And the Buddha said the all components phenomena are impermanent, So I think sometimes it is important to reflect on the natural reality as well as the impermanence. So meditating on those and have some kind of like the understanding the notions of those knowledge. And for example, the all components are impermanence, and once I receive or gain this such the body or the five aggregates, they are bound to face the impermanence, and every minute, every second, it's change or agings, and eventually that five aggregates or the body will disappear or die or dead. And even our own thoughts, our own mind, constantly changing because of impermanence. It never like a permanent. It always change today thoughts will change when tomorrow comes, or yesterday idea will change. And and even these outer vessels of this universe also impermanence. So every season is changed. Today is summer, and then we will have autumn and winter, then always it change. So I think again, it is important sometime, pause and reflect on um the natural reality, as well as the impermanence, which help us to, give us the great capacity and great strength that are able to confront the reality. And a reality. And even though we going through the tremendous sufferings, and we have a great opportunity to apply the practice of patience.
어야 바든데 진이 참치 디마다 주로 땅고 버시 근저다네 이 주디 바로 동시고 엄마 상기기랑 나 아니 마우리고 저 버때니 상기기 연된다 된 통진이 콜 랍도 송진이 상기기 콜나 직송 그래서 아마데 나지고 나온다 아마데 배 섬노던 콜로노 셈마치 왔지 능을 능은도 뭐 콜로노 다 콜로노 서때 좀 봐요 말고 콜로노 서 상기를 콜로노 상기 때배 된데 것도 담아갖고 고고다는 게 보겠대 된거 공고던 추송 땅 앞에 대지 불러서 뭐든 배 같이 묵시랑도 상기가 탐지게 말자 아마 뒤는 때 대근도 당도 차상 같이네 뭐 대사가 공섭되나 이마저 손이 펴서 심지도 저 상기 때랑 아주 동서들 패긴 되는데 고용 썼다 아마도 간다 다음에 때랑 당 상기 그거 담아다 더 썼다 쓰고 뭐 때때 다트로 집다 됐어 는 상기 때 배운 썼다 뭐 상기를 손에 투바져 상기 투바져 썼다 상기가 선내 신점지니 뭐 가르치 되는데서 다뭐배 다 상기 교도 자연 수계를 배던데 던지지 임신 가르등이 보처럼 자와지 당내 들라되는 아등을 먹고요 시고 다 먹고 생고 등으로 사정 막 시엔 치소치 하서다 시에다 다 상기 들란지가 어디 선이다 타마 들라다 뭐 당천 갈래 가는 다 가와다 어디 선 그런 안돼 다 시주 참아서 잘송 다뭐 다른 시주 참아서 잘송 하는 그 생고 등으로 강에 참아 교시인지 요다 강 중앙 가 공부는 거 이제 등 용도 교시인지 학교네 근데 나다 땅이 교네 좋아서 당는 그러면서 든 그렇습니다. 뭔가 당책이 되지. 좋아까지 다르나. 미치라 냠바트에나 냠바트 파소지. 땡게티 다사텔라 틸 말렘바나 냠바트 되게 높은 척거렸어. 근데 뭐 냠바트 높은 동부 파소티 말렘바나 파소티 닥치잖아. 파소티 닥을 맞지나. 동부 땡게티 그러지. 어떻게 사는 그런 거니 컨트롤하는 님 직파서 그런 종 같은 니들 그때로 조금 전에 등이 당는지 이어 말이지 그런 컨트롤 등이 당만 맞지서 다 컨트롤 님도 그런 거 보고 때 그런 거 잠시씩 거르지 컨트롤 넣나 말라 놓고요 말 그런 거 놓고 그랬어 실제는 아마티 상로고 또는 코르지니 뭐 전화들 에너지 칠랑 무시통네 지마베 야고 차선에 노르지지 그러지 인사네 파쇼들로 공부하는 쪽들 조금지 요거진 통송진 뜻이 말이지 요거 년진이 마원의 메시동시 공부하는 그 시분 저는 년진이 년규도 돈 수상로 당진 상로 당 때 노트 쓰임 받다 하고 하진데 하고는 요성지 타나 용도 상태고 파쇼 수준이가 삽시요 용특이 그래서 대자다디 로지도 될 수 있지
So I will stop here, and the following is the more like uh, debating, the discussing and the discussions and the debate. So I will stop here, and I would like to share the short story during the Buddha lifetime, and so during the Buddha time, there was the mother and her only son. So her only son was, was ordained by the Buddha, and so since then she was a great kind of anger toward the Buddha. She's been thinking that I have only one child, and that child is also taken by the Buddha, and she's been kind of thinking and mentally kind of the scolding and the bad saying bad thing about the Buddha, and and then so this because she did this because of out of great suffering by losing by taking her only child or the son. And they one day Buddha happened to visit her village for the alms, and and then she thought like, oh, this is a good opportunity, now I can confront Buddha, and because she took my son. And then she approached the Buddha, and then as soon as she reached there, and she start yelling toward the Buddha, almost like 1 hour. She kept yelling and saying bad thing about Buddha, because all of this because of the suffering she had and losing her child. And but Buddha said nothing and just keep silent and remained silent. And after she kind of finished everything, she tired and she finished. And then Buddha asked like, "Hello, mother, and are you done? Are you finished?" And she said, "Yes, I'm finished, and I just said whatever I have to say. This suffering that caused by all the others things." And then the Buddha said, "May I ask you a question?" And she said, "Yes." If a person A give a gift toward the person B, but the person B didn't accept the gift where it belonged, and the Buddha asked, and she said, "Yeah, if the person B accept, it belonged to B, but if person B didn't accept, then it will go back to the person A." And then Buddha said, like, whatever you said to me out of anger and hatred, I didn't accept, and which means I didn't have any kind of negative kind of deeds, but rather you kind of get all the deeds back to you, so you accumulate the great negative deeds out of the great anger. And uh, so then, if Buddha gave her, such a kind of a teachings, great teaching toward her, and then she received such a teaching, and also generate the kind of good realizations, and eventually should become a good practitioners. And so here also shows that in our life, then sometime we end up the field where there are so much difficulties and negativities. Maybe individuals is kind of telling you something or replying you something or saying something out of anger, but it is important we have to be patient and listen what he or she is saying. It is true or not, it is something that I made mistake or not. And if we do that, then definitely we can able to eliminate the cause of the problem and the cause of the anger.
zoba go mat nyamte tele sherab ko tong go jo ko res sherab ko mel zogum chi go ne ko kar jin chi jong ne ko mate 파종 때는 너 수치 뭐 소랑 너 배운 거 sherab ko tong chi as sherab 장부 진네 뭐 파종 때 zoba go mat na 소소 zogum tong jin ne 파종 때는 공도 때 경기 강사 때는 양지 공도 때라 디가 소소라 노바 마스카 진네 아니 참좀追过는追难 거 같은데 진네 답시로 땅 진네 근데 저도 진짜 연구를 공부만 그때 뒤장 남아 담지 거요 말이야. 뒤쪽 수익 잡지는 뒤까지 말할 때 잠송나 때니고 로아 창도 때서 때 잡지 거래지.
So again, when I say be patient and tolerant, uh, doesn't mean you just kind of take whatever they give you, and then sometimes we might end up in a very bad situation. It will kind of hurt us badly, and important is the union of patience and the wisdom mind. That's, I think, important. The patient alone is not sufficient. What we need the wisdom, the equipped with the wisdom or the intellectual mind, and having the firm establishing the tolerance, the practice of tolerance, and plus you will have a great kind of the intellectual mind or the wisdom mind where you analyze and things an event, and the the out of great intelligence you kind of try to solve the problem. But sometimes there's a case that you might have to you run away, the is if you need to run, and then maybe better run. And so I think that's the important to have the wisdom mind. And yes, because when I say run, because when you kind of like run, and then maybe that person will not stay the angry person forever. It's kind of temporary, but maybe later he or she will sober or calm, and then you can reapproach.
근데 이 남지 셰드스 또 남지 알아서 강한테 참아도 용거를 제 조직나 내들서 삼스 맡은 바다 소순도 바만들 와 근데가 네 지금 뭐길라 같이 중앙에서 보던 용거를 랑당랑 랑는 니위 때 강탐지 용거를 지나 또 담전에 강은 녹는 지등대 공주고 녹는 지나 그때 있나 단축 보지다 편수 소비 용도고요 말이지 아니 그때 결혼 미스강 공도 전부 상하는데 파쇼티 미트 닦고 조금진이 결혼다 같이 당나 당하는 고조금진의 제정으로 이나 그 셈비 당네 그때 결혼을 기습도 용고만 그 공도 대왕한테 그때를 조금지라마도 감성들 기습 용고만 지들 이니 공도부 탁주제도 참아 특동만 탐바샤도 탁주제인 거를 그 이제만 요밖에 하길래 가만 보죠 근데 공도가 없잖아 대자 안에 서학간다 강등 강을 강등 같은데 아니 셰르 조동 지위군이 다주지고는 좁아지요 말 좁아지나 결혼 공로 등알길라 원샷했던 거지 근데 공로 등알기 같은데 다주배 신청도 뭐 지만 좀 받쳐 맞지 그렇지 때 맞지네 셰르 등안에 삼칠라 원샷했니 그런 거 삼칠도 파쇼나 빵 파쇼고 삼칠도 쓸래 아니 이게 곱들지 근데 너트 강에 봤다 요성지 근데 파쇼 쪽 이게 탐비 차때 강에 봤다 얘한테 좋아해나 근데 소 노트 좀은 소들 조금지 파쇼고 노트 좀은 파쇼들 라투시 들지나 근데 뒤동만 받았지 타주제 타주 짱마 연구지 어다 싸워있는 샘냠대 지금 용모 도와주긴 나라 어떤 셰르비치 동동지나 어떤 용 임진하고 임자하고는 수수수는 그렇지 지만 요바 연구 말지 어떤 사안이 당연히 저한테 지금 가 타주 가르치는 셰르브 당만에 양질라 원샷제 고고래 공로당 말기는 다른 진짜나 와서든 나데 능이 연구를 해서 뜻이 놀기 때문에 다 마시게 요새 그런 거는 요새
Um, so the again, we always have a angry mind, and whenever we cannot accomplish the things that we want to achieve, or maybe there's some kind of obstacles on my path, or the dream that I want to achieve, and then we have all kinds of obstacles and the problems and the anger and so forth, and then we might kind of confront that very the situations out of anger, and then the at the result, like its result will be not good. We might regret at the end, because we confront this situation out of great anger and hatred because of the obstacles and the problems and we had that we cannot achieve, and we could not achieve our dream, and so forth. And even like maybe let's say we confront to someone out of great anger, and that maybe that person maybe have a good practice of patience, and maybe it kind of like it didn't went bad as it is, and but later on, because of our very the evil actions, even though that person is a very good the practitioners, then they have some sort of like the kind of sadness and don't liking toward that individual, and they losing their kind of respect, basically losing their respect toward the individual who is a very angry person. And again, there's numbers of the faults of having anger. So when we determined any kind of the decisions and out of anger, and then at the end the result will not be as will not be good, and we regret later. Later we kind of regret and sad about what decision we made out of anger. And so again, the important is the as I mentioned earlier, patience with the great wisdoms are very important. And whenever we approach to someone, and we kind of argue with others and out of anger, and that is, I think, is not good. We kind of giving an opportunity toward our evil mind. So what we should do is out of a great patience and tolerance, plus using our great wisdom and intellectual mind, and then we kind of discuss toward others through the dialogue, and you kind of like explains what happened. You basically kind of putting your thoughts and your idea on the table, and then maybe other may have a kind of some kind of comments, and then you discuss, and through that way, like you can definitely solve the problem, because you're giving an opportunity toward the wisdom, the mind, and whatever decisions made out of great wisdom mind and the intellectual mind, and later you won't regret. So my final kind of the wish for all of you is the always give an opportunity and power toward the wisdom and the compassionate mind, and not give the power toward the anger and hatred.
어때 나랑 기능은 좋으신데 요새 때는 경우도 양대 요목을 장한테 마송아 삼진 세피션트 선batten 데는 다 시들.
So the when I talk about these things that like anger and so forth, and I'm not just telling that not only just pointing all of you, but also I'm also one of them. I also have that kind of problems. So again, when I say this, is anyone is a Bodhisattva, so I would like to say I would like to apology for the Bodhisattvas.
Okay. I tried to name it.
Okay, now I'll like to take questions.
그러면 you don't. Yeah.
So a couple of weeks ago, I asked about when you have a habitual person situation, habitual things come to my mind, but I didn't feel that maybe Geshe would say, well, that's kind of okay. I'd like to get rid of the thought, and I'm wondering, after listening today, thinking if that's not even possible, but I just have to deal with that with wisdom.
Deal with the wisdom, right?
Yeah, like I'd like the thought not to come up,
Okay, yeah.
but I'm wondering if that would be maybe possible.
Mhm. Yeah.
To deal with.
그런 가정엄마야 니들보다 니들 기지 총송 한다야 코란 랑이로 총송사다 그런 지단기 남준이 코란다 디 콤시기 직 삼로지여라 다 삼로지 카리나 진설 삼로디 카두이나 니야다 리엔도 사마 아니 코로나 디스 직다 지 마디오 연구에서 가냐면 이제 샘치우면나 가리는 연구에서 이나야 디 유네 코로나 롱다 랑거 민두사 롱다 랑거 민두사 이나야 di samlo di meo so ni tu do ina ya tari gela so na shi ta zo di da sherab di pishu tan di kechu mo re sungu do ta koran ta di bet meo so ya ta kale khabu inji ro wa ro si do komshi samlo ji
네,
ga
곱시 삼로 땅 가지고 통화한 분이 요차 다 꼼디 직접 모여서 때는 비름비 삼로 땅에 땅고 공도 용사 그런 맞죠 좀 것도 가면 하고 왔지 하고는 딜리 예무 통이 때 양주 양삼 통나 어떤 아주 대원도 받고 능만도 받지 능 용사 때 아주 봐 용래 당하게 삼로 용거라 뒤나 네 럼비 겁나 파워 마켓 밑에 간 요 말이죠 꼼디치나 럼비 일치 땅 도와지 용거 뭐만 밤 공전스네 볼라베드 그만 갖다 첨부된데 적받은 시리얼 타마 코롱 샘도 도고진 코롱 샘도 도고집진데 타마테 코롱베 냐면 받치고 차르세 코가티나 당보다 코고마 잡던 지금 뭐성다 존이 그래서 이제 라마키 때는 그도 정말 고양 방공원지 공습성 코통을 딱 내비 논리는 통고 그 군님아지가 아마제 보모드니 라마치고 라마트 그만 잡다는데 그 샘는 데서 맞겨진 단양지 그러니 초라만데 마토요 말당은 군이 가르치고 나서 그 공다 닝게 송소 설닝게 송다 아마들 남 보모드 있다 개전 단승민 당아니라 초아자 라마치고 라마트는 밤먹은 중에 가장 계속 요 말다 먹은 저 배득자리 당안 초아를 걸려 잡고 때 그도 닝게 놓고 그 샘는 요바랬지 양지다 좀 아마든 남 보모도 양지지 근데 그런 게 지하든 요바지 근데 좀 되고 샘도 갈리갈리 일지당 삼자다 그런 거 도고적사도 그런 거 샘나도 지하든 남성 그 샘도 되고 네 그런 거 샘나 규득잔들 등이 같은 들 시작했다 그 샘도 자들 군협에 샘 양아들 탑수지 타마도 먹고 예송스 그 예수 탑수 가르쳐서 그 리우고 동 나고 야 담바졌던 샘도 자들은 나고서 가오죠. 근데 당보다 낙고만 가오지라고 말이죠. 근데 또 봐. 근데 지금 탐자도 가로다 낙고 양만용매와 진짜 탐자다 가오망에서 낙고 용을 줘서 진짜 삼무지당 근데 진짜 지지당 요르서 정말로 당보 지지당 당 용사겠다 하고나 또 키워지 때 삼로 당에 다 고문데 님을 하고나 지지당 다 그렇지.
Yes, this habitual thoughts or thinking or the mind, it is something that's quite difficult to purify or eliminate, and and the which cause either kind of distractions or maybe suffering in our life. And but doesn't mean it is impossible. It is possible, can be done and can be changed. And important is the we have to recognize the very cause, and also able to see the defects of the those causes. So that's very important. Recognize firmly, clearly recognizing the cause or the defects. So that's the cause of the defects, and because the all of us we want happiness, we do not want suffering, and therefore making familiar with those mind or the actions, we can definitely achieve our desire and the wish to be achieve the happiness. And let me share you the story of the one of the great practitioners, Bam Gonjo, in Tibet, who are very famous practitioner, and also used to be like a great kind of like buckler, um, and many villagers are scared of him. Whenever they heard his name, they just frightened. And so the but Bam Gonjun, that individual, even though he was that kind of evil person, but the over a time and the period of time, the practicing and the confronting his mind, he able to change and become one of the greatest practitioner in Tibet. And the all the villagers are scared. Even they heard about his name. So one time he was just at the very middle of the night, he was just walking in the street, and he just want to listen. And the one of the family, where it happened to like he stole the goat from that family, only one goat, and the mother and daughter, they were talking about like they were very sad, and they have only one kind of goat, and that was taken by him, and they were saying bad thing about him. So when he heard this, what they were talking about him, he really thought, oh, I never thought like I was that kind of bad person. I know I'm doing bad things, but I didn't know I was that kind of bad person. So then, since then, he kind of tried to change himself, and
그런
out of
능력에서 양지께서
uh,
그런 게 능력으로다
네.
소화 능력 대통령들이 그 능력 대통령 권의 양지께서
Yeah. So he generated the kind of deep compassions by hearing their suffering. And then he, out of great regret, he decided that from now on, I'm not going to do this such actions and deeds. And then, so what he did is in his lifetime, he collect the 200 the like a small rocks, 200 small rocks. One is a white color, one is a black color, and so if he done something good, he will collect the the bright color, and if he done something bad, he will collect the dark colors. And at the beginning, there's a more kind of dark color than the bright color, and then eventually over time that they are equal, like both are same. Then constantly practicing and challenging his now used to be he was kind of fighting with the people, now he's fighting with his mind by accompanying with his good mind and the fighting with the bad mind. So eventually he had a more bright rocks than the dark rocks. And so when you look at the story, such a story, everything is possible. Yeah. And most important, we have to recognize the very cause and where it come from, where it began. And eventually we have to see the defects of the having those cause and the patterns, thoughts, and so forth. Yes? Good.
Thank you so much. Would it be possible to talk about, or to help us understand the way that the valid thought is more powerful than the deceptive thought?
Can you explain more? Like
The valid thought, the correct thought,
mhm.
the valid, correct thought thinking
Yeah.
is more powerful than the deceptive thought. It keeps coming back.
Okay, the between the good and
When
bad
you
thoughts.
battle.
Yeah. And the Nicola Tisherochita Sidon, the Tanganzu Samuniora, Samlo Yagatan Duganiora, Samlo Yaduni di Kunigorola Chikta Pazu, Nicola Tisherochita Sid, Samlo Yaduni Pazu, the Tanganzu Bongo Jen Pazu, the Tupajadera Samlo, Digun Tisherochita Sid.
다지 사그 초트랑 두스니 엄마 말라리와게 좋아하는 말라리와 니와지에서 걸러는데 좀 콩원이 엄마 총원부 촌양라 펴서 총원부 촌양라 펴서 줄지니 너무 가스깔라 뭐 너무 가스깔라 손데 코니마 총원부 촌양서 총원부에서 가서 넘발을 뒤 초기나日시월 저띠가 많이 변까 작바적선 코디온 참됐지 참던데 약간 작바주 소나스라고 소스 가운데 그때는 좀 무창지네 그 무창지 단듯이네 콜라베까지 좀 무창지게 나네 콜라지게 뭐와즈 프레든 트라직지고 통해서 통해서 되네 그런 거아 딱그거 들리듯이 프레시 되는 게 들리지 버진 그런 거 나은진 것들이 고바야다 봤어 어디 지금 듣지 버진 차시당도 없어 그 남성 담에도 쉐르 딱그 삼도 쉐르들 남성 당전나 같잖아 저 던지네 배 코르산에 던지네 삼도 당네다 나그 마푸공을 겨는 거 배도 없음네 고시 양도 하지 배드레진 다 군이 추가져서 당진나 추가져 당진 추가져 당진 그 롱즈도 특지 찍을 때 당진 그때 하다오 딱 걸러지기 그 뭐지가 용 거지 다음에 또 쉐를 써야 돼 뭐만 이제 여러 색으로 막 단다 봐도 꼭 많이 없어 아 당진 거 단다 봤더니 또 공부는 좀 요거 찾은 게 원주지다 그랬어 원주지 그 처음에 이 칼 연구를 당진 이 칼은 연구 그 그때 칼 많이 받는 게 지금 취직 거네 콜당 그랬어 그때 지 콜당 놓고 찾아 원디 그랬어 그건 이제 yar스 거 그게 이제 타마타마지 kunni nilgin ro ngoni shawnso dangna ta kunni shirse yo mar jama te tamto sherb ti ten lorji sk rong korang sem gun nas herb da dangzin ige zoba ya ju ti gurchi ma zam jo se ti jin jima da jo kchi
So there's also a well-known master known as Second Melariva in Tibet, and so from his dharmic song, he composed a book. It's like a song debating between the uh, negative and the positive mind. So this book is very famous and composed by the individual known as the second Milarepa. So what happened that that practitioner who um, um, before winter he just visit in Tibet. There's a lot of islands and lake in Tibet, lake known as a blue lake, and that practitioner mostly they travel, take the pilgrimage around the most of the Tibet area, and before winter they go to that island, and then when it's the winter, then all frozen, right? And sorry, like before summer he will go there, and during the summer he cannot come back. He will kind of stay there practicing retreat in the island, and the winter is frozen so he can walk back to the village. But anyway, one time he finishes retreat and it's winter, and then he can walk on the ice, and he can visit in the village. So village where he visit in the one of the landlord, they were preparing the offering for him, like a money and all the offerings. So he was doing some kind of practice or prayer, and he saw they were preparing all the offerings for him. Then suddenly his the negative mind come up, like, wow, a lot of money and offerings. And then, wow, what should we do? Like, what I get this, and what we should do. And so he keep making all kinds of thoughts when he see this money. And suddenly he realized that, oh, this self-grasping is here. Now I have to bring my wisdom realizing uh, wisdom realizing minds, wisdom realizing emptiness, or wisdom realizing mind. And then he debate with the self-grasping. And hey, they self. So in book he just they communicate both. Hey, what are you doing here? And you self-grasping here.
자나다 부주레스
Even you didn't get the offering yet, you're still making all the plans, don't you? Something like that. You're making all the plans. How naughty you are, or tricky. You're kind of like this. So he kind of scolded. The wisdom realizing emptiness scold to the self-grasping mind. And then self-grasping mind, he replied, like ha 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 ho 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 ho, like this. Sometimes I laugh, sometimes I kind of like cry. I don't know what to do. Like a self-grasping is a king of the mind, and if you try to do anything, wisdom realizing mind, I will send my all the negative emotions to attack you, something like that. And I have eight great general known as eight worldly desire, the all worldly desire kind of the thoughts, and I will send them, and then I will also have a more kind of like army behind me. I will send all of them and defeat you, something like that. So there's a
그런 거요. 뭐 여운이 정도 이빨 똥발 등이 콜스.
I have a lot of surrounding, and the followers I have, from the king till the all of the followers. So I will send all of them and defeat you and make you run away. So this is the book he composed. In this book, same person, they are kind of debating and fighting each others. So maybe. And I wrote this book, and eventually, at the end of the book, the wisdom realizing mind win the battle.
임승강은 셔럽 결국 임승강 셔럽나 모이는 때 덴바 라초 당전나 띄어 말지.
So why the wisdom realizing win? Because it's true, and it is always that justice receive who have facts and the truth. So that's why wisdom realizing win the battle at the end. So if I find a book, I will share with you. It's a very good book. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been debating with myself, thinking maybe I should not say this, but I think it's important enough. So from a Western psychological perspective, there's a thing that's called the intrusive thought. That almost sounds like what you're possibly what you're describing to me. And almost all people have to deal with them at some time or another. And often it's not that we're actually motivated to do that thing. It's that it's actually our biggest fear. So an example that comes up for me, it's kind of funny, is in South Park, when, who is it? He throws up on people every time he gets nervous. And that's an intrusive thought that people can have, is that they're talking to somebody that they really respect, and they have this thought of it's like the most horrifying thing that they could think of doing at that moment. So it's more of, it's not that they want to do that, it's that that's their fear, and it comes out in this intrusive thought. And when they get bad enough, they can be associated with OCD. People start doing these repetitive behaviors. Sometimes they're has to do with germs and things like that. So like the hand washing or, so since almost everybody has to deal with intrusive thoughts at some point in their life, they can be horrifying and scary when they come up, but that doesn't mean that that's really what you want to do at that moment. In fact, it can be your biggest fear that's just kind of coming up in a moment. So, sorry, but I had to say that.
One thing you can do is apply antidotes.
Exactly.
But you have to have the psychological space to realize that at the time. And it's like you can make an inventory of, like a lot of us get into negative self-talk, like, I can't accomplish anything, I'm a failure. I want to meditate, but I don't have the patience, so that doesn't work. Anyway, to break this, you can break that circular thinking, negative thinking, by applying. It's actually a mental construction that you have to make, and then you have to have the presence of mind to apply it properly. So it's a lot of work, and it doesn't work very well at first, but gradually over time, those antidotes can dismantle that circular negative self-talk. Because if you really examine it, you see that there's always this positive side. Whatever those criticisms are, there's a positive side to it, but it's just not available to your awareness at that moment. So it's not an easy fix, but it's possible.
Can you also practice the 4 mindfulness? Mindfulness of body, mindfulness of mind, feelings. So you're actually feeling or that my mind's doing that. I'll stop.
Yes.
I find mantra and visualizations help.
Yes,
Like then I'll do a Tara mantra.
yes, yes.
It's just like somebody that shows up, like I'm trying all that, it's just like, it just shows up like your front door.
Mhm.
Oh, there you are, like, hey.
When you make a decision at that point.
Yeah, well, that's what I think, like since I've been practicing this, I can't believe this, but I don't kill mosquitoes. I can't believe it. Like, that's not, I'm like a redneck Southern Indiana. And, but they still bother me and they still occur. I live on the river, literally on the river.
Oh.
So, yeah. So, that's where I'm at. Like, I don't know if it's just a mosquito that exists that I really can't do anything about. It might be just a mosquito that exists. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That I've got to brush away. I don't want it to bite me, or whatever they do.
약을 받고 그러세요. 약을 너무 마스크 망고 이러. 약을 부정나처럼 마스크 잡고 그러세요.
Kishila said like nets. What do you call nets, right? In India, we use the net. In India, we use the mosquito net, put over the bed. It will protect. Maybe you could have. Yeah.
I feel maybe it is my own thinking, but for me, the meditation will help to increase the awareness, and then that will help. Oh, I'm getting this thought. I think that's you will become aware. Oh, the negative thought is coming. This is the right thing to do or not, and then if you fuel that thoughts, then it will increase. So there will be positive, like an antidote. Oh, this is coming. That awareness itself is I think is the knowledge that the awareness is coming. So then you can reflect. I think constant reflection will help us to get the right view, because all problems will come because of the wrong view of the situation. Having meditation, practicing meditation will help us to see the things what they are actually. That's my experience.
정말 같은 체제 정도 소속 삼스 셰르부터 질라 봉내는 곱듯이 이제만 다 자송나 양던데 곱듯이는 그리스라 지치라 최종 세대 때부터 다 되네 도치는 당가도 돼 참지는 너무 같다는 종공을 하고.
Yes, thank you very much, and sharing your thoughts and comments. I really appreciate. So this is what I just mentioned, like discussions is very important out of great wisdom and kind and compassion, where you put your thoughts on the table and then everyone kind of discuss, and which is very good at sharing and receiving that knowledge. And since we are all like brother and sister or spiritual friends, and we should kind of being kind to one another and also share the knowledge out of compassions and positive mind, not a negative mind. So anyway, I will stop here, and we'll say the dedications and
just 한번
dedication page number 80.
Thank you, Geshe. Wonderful teaching. Thank you, Tempa, for the translation. And if you would like to have further discussion, there's tea in the kitchen. And I will pass this around, and if you can make a donation to support the monks in the monastery, it'd be greatly appreciated, or just a prayer into the bowl. Thank you.
Nam wang bo da je de ma zon be se ra gon do yang jang be yang jian se be je song de da be ren ba gong san lam je cho ye ne ro be ya na ye ra ye je shen do be lam je ne shu ra ze ve dang ve tam ye je lo ve ye je mon ba se je ne ya ve den ba yo ra zen jo je den ba ren jen cho ye ma cha cha nyam bar jur ve cho de nya je chen bo ye ra jo ba de da de sa wa che ba shu se je ya ve me jong de la ro chang jo lam je re be chang ta do nam je ye la ba de shang ya ve zhen ba rong do chong je san do be do chen do che ga je se je me da me gong ze ro gong do ya ve ma ba ye nam da le war ma je tang ze de ba cho la chu zo shen ro la zong ba de ye o de nam je da do do she jiang zha xie jiang zuo jiu geng chang zhi jie ba dian za ve la ma ren bo che da zo nian ge ba me den zhu la ka dian chen bo guo ne jie zong de go song de jie mo zhe za de so chang zhe sem zhuo ren bo che ma jie ba na ji jie che wa nyang ba me ba yang gong ne gong de pe wa shu ka re ra ve gu ve jian gam de ben dong de wa ma le jiong ve ne chen re zhen wang den zhen ya zo ye xia bei sen de ba de den zhe jie yang ba ba wo jie de ra chen ba dang gong de sang bo de yang de xian de
Teta Gunje Jesu Dalo Jan Yewa Teta Tamchi Rabdo Ngoy Deson Shabe Gyawa Tamche Je Ngowa Kanla Chodo Ngabade Dajen Yewe Zawa De Gonjan Sambo Jose Rabdo Warje Pende Jone Demba Darshanje Tenzin Jiu Tamjen Gokam San Lujen Kunga Deje Jomene Sanje Demba Dado Jejo Je Tsera Kundo Nyawa Tsongkave Pejo Shinye Muso Zabetu Yahweh Ngabe Namsan Denyele Keje Zayang Topa Ma